Hey guys, Namaste. This is Nandish from Physics. Today we will try to understand about the rotational motion. So to begin with the rotational motion, you need to understand about the object. Okay, here the object which is performing the rotational motion is not a point object. That should be very clear for you. When you say it is not a point object, okay, actually when we are dealing with this motion kind of things, we will be having two types of objects. One is the point object as usually, and the other one is the extended object. When you say it is a point object, it is simple like just a point. Okay, this point is going to have a certain or a finite but very small mass, but further there is no internal structure for this particle. Okay, so this kind of particles will possess only the rectilinear motion or the translational motion, but it cannot possess the rotational motion. So when you said the object is in rotational motion, it must be an extended object. Okay, an extended object means it is going to have certain internal structure, or it is made up of many number of particles or parts of it. Okay, so it is also called as system of particles. Alright, this system of particle or the extended object, and we are taking here to discuss the rotational motion is going to be a rigid one. Right? So the rigid one, in the sense, the distance between the two particles of this system of particle or the extended object is not always going to change. Whatever happens, however the force you applied on that particular object, the distance between the two particles of that system is not going to change. That is called a rigid. Okay, and these point objects and perfectly rigid objects are going to be ideal in physics. Okay, they are just what do you call the conceptual one, but in nature they are not going to exist at all. Okay, that we can have nearly rigid body and nearly point mass we can have, but there is no perfect rigid body or the perfect point object is not going to exist so far. All right. Before coming to this rotational motion, let me tell you one important thing. What is going to happen when you are looking at what do you call this translational motion? Okay, so here also for the translational motion, we have taken one extended object, or there is a system of particle, or there is a rigid body. Assume that in this extended object we have many number of particles as usually. So let me call these particles as these points as particles. Okay, we have many number of points over here or the particles over here. So in the last one of my first video, we have talked about the center of mass and center of gravity and all. So assume that for this uniform object, this point is going to be the center of gravity or center of mass. Alright. So when you apply force in this direction and on this rigid body, this whole force is exclusively acting at this point, which is called a center of mass, and because of that the whole object will start to move in this direction. So we said when the object is moving, this is going to be the velocity of the object, and this velocity is equal to the velocity of this center of mass. So if I imagine when this object is moving, I can look at the object in a different way. Instead of looking at the whole object, you can just see these particles are actually in the motion. Okay, they are moving in a straight line, and in a given time, in this case, and the object is moving in this way, all the particles of this rigid body or this extended object are displacing or traveling an equal distance or displacing by equal amount at the same time, at the equal intervals of time. That means if suppose the object is coming here, okay, let me not write this part of the object, we have taken only this part. So here is the particle and here is these two particles over here, and the center of mass is somewhere over here. Alright. And in this kind of motion, okay, in a given time t, both of these three particles, okay, both of these three particles are traveling or displacing by equal amount by taking equal time, which means the ratio of this displacement, okay, to time taken by this particle to displace this much is always going to be same for every particle in general. And we know that this displacement divided by time taken is a linear velocity, okay, which is a vector quantity. So what I mean to tell you is the linear velocities of all these particles in the extended object is same in this kind of motion, and this is called the translatory motion or rectilinear motion of the object. So it is very clear for you what do you mean by translatory motion or rectilinear motion. When the velocity of all the particles of this extended object is going to be same. Which velocity we are talking about? We are talking about the linear velocity. If it is same, then the object is said to be moving, or the object is said to be the translatory motion. So this is about the translational motion, and let me look at this object, these two figures. Okay. So here also the object is not a point one; it is an extended object, and as usually this is going to be the one particle which is present at the geometric center of the object, and as usually this is going to be the center of mass or the center of gravity of this object, because the object is a regular shaped uniform object. So this object, when it is rotating like this, okay, this is also one type of motion, but on the whole the object is present in the same position, okay, it is not changing its position, but the object is rotating somewhat like this. During this rotational motion, if you can assume many number of particles in the rigid body, as usual, we have assumed here 5 particles over here. Which are those 5 particles? You can name number them as 1, 2, 3, and so on. 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, and this is the 5th particle. Out of these 5 particles, forget about this 5th particle, we will come to that later. When the object is in rotation, this first, second, third, and 4th particle are actually following the circular path. Okay, when these particles are following the circular path, but one particle is at rest, which is at the center, that is we will discuss later. So the next version of this motion I have written here, and these dotted lines represent this is the angular position of the body before it is rotating, and this object is representing the present angular position of the object. So the particle was here, and now the particle came to here. This is particle number 4, and now the particle number 4 has moved to some other position. Similarly, here was the particle number 1, and now the particle number 1 is going to be present here. So the same thing is going to happen for this second and third particle. The 5th particle is there itself. Alright. Now in this case, when the object is said to be in rotation, maximum number of particles in this system of particle or the extended object are following the circular path. Okay. So during this circular path, all the particles of the body need not to have same linear velocities. Okay, you know that, I hope you know that when the particle is moving in a circular path, forget about the whole body in your mind. Just consider the particles of this extended object and assume that these particles are moving in circular path when the object is rotating. When any particle or anything, when it is moving in a circular path, it is going to have linear velocity with it. And that linear velocity is always tangent to that circular path. It is something like this. Okay, this is the circular path. And on this circular path, if suppose the object or the particle is moving in this sense, okay, it is in anti-clockwise direction. At this point, its velocity is in this direction, and at this point, the velocity is going to be in this direction, and so on. So wherever you take in the direction of tangent, the velocity is going to be what you call occur. So here, velocity of all the particles when the object is rotating need not to be same, at least in direction. Okay. You just look at this. The velocity of this particle 4, when it is moving in the circular path at this position, now it is in this direction. Similarly, the velocity of the particle number 1, when the object is rotating, is in some other direction, something like this. So here, what I need to say you is, this is unlike this rectilinear motion or translational motion. When the object is said to be in rotation, all the particles in the body are going to have different velocities, either in direction or in magnitude or both. Okay, so we will discuss now. We are looking at these two particles are different in their velocity is direction. Okay, so maybe some other particle, even the particle, that particle is going to have different direction and different magnitude when compared to these two particles. Okay, you can imagine one more particle over here, or else we will do one what do you call activity to understand the different particles are going to have different linear velocity when the object is set to when the object is set to be in rotational motion. Okay, but before that, I will tell you this. I will tell you what is this diagram means. Okay, the current diagram. These two cases, what we have discussed, one is translational motion and other is rotational motion. So this is said to be pure rectilinear motion or pure translational motion, and this is pure rotational motion. But in general, when you throw an object or general cases where we can see around, all these types of motions are going to be combined motions. Combined motion in the sense the body simultaneously is going to have both translational motion as well as rotational motion, and this is one such example. If you imagine there is a ball or a shot put or something like that which is of spherical and solid, when it is kept on an inclined plane at the top of an inclined plane, and when you left the particle to move down the inclined plane, it is actually possessing both rotational motion. It is rolling and going down as well. This is called combined motion. Okay, in general, for the extended object, we can see both translational and rotational motions. We will discuss this later, but now let me concentrate only on this rotational motion, and I should tell you the linear velocity when the object is rotating is going to be different for different particles. To understand different particles will be having different linear velocities in rotational motion in an extended object or an rigid body. Let me consider this is going to be the rigid body, and these two marks will represent two particles of this extended object. Assume that these two are the different particles in the system. Now, I am going to fix one end of the extended object over here, and I am going to apply the force to the other end of the extended object. Because to have rotational motion, at least one point of the extended object have to be fixed. Okay, So let me fix this point. This is going to be fixed point and this is going to be free end. So these two particles I am going to mark in the diagram as well. Alright. When you apply force to the other free end, the object will start rotating in this way, and finally after the rotation, assume that this is going to be the final position, final angular position of the object. So before the object starts rotating, particle 1 and particle 2 was here, and now when the object is rotating, if you concentrate only on these two particles, particle number 1 and particle number 2, these two particles are moving in circular paths. Okay, so this is going to be a small part of a circle. So that means this is going to be circular paths of particle number 1 and particle number 2. But it was very clear that at the same time the particle number 1 is reaching from here to here, and at the same time the particle is going from here to here. What I mean to tell you is their displacement is going to be different. But for that displacement, the time taken by the particles are exactly same. What do you mean by displacement? Displacement is the shortest distance between initial position to the final position. So this is the initial position and this is the final position of the particle number 1, and these are the initial and final positions of the particle number 2. When you join them by drawing a straight line, you will get the displacement. So, and it is very clear from the diagram that time taken by the particle, both of these particles, to move from their initial position and to reach the final position is same, but the displacement is going to be great. So, if I take the ratio of, if I take the ratio of their displacement with respect to time, I mean displacement to time, this ratio will give you the linear velocity of both of these particles, and this is why the linear velocity of both of these particles is going to be different, just because the displacement is not the same. And the displacement of the second particle is as usually more when compared to the displacement of the first particle in the given time. Therefore, velocity of the second particle is more, velocity of the first particle is going to be less. If you can assume one more particle over here, its velocity is still less. At the same time, it is going to travel much more less displacement when compared to the first one and the second one. And if you go on reaching, suppose if you reach this point, I mean the fixed point of the object, there actually the linear velocity of the particles is going to be 0. So which means, what I mean to tell you is, at the fixed point when the object is rotating, the linear velocity is 0. As you go away from the fixed point, in any possible direction, if you imagine a 3-dimensional extended object, if you go away from this fixed point, as the distance increases from the fixed point, the particles which are going to found at that particular places are going to have increasing their velocities, their linear velocities. So this is why I told you the different particles will have different linear velocity when the object is rotating.